because it was Duterte himself said, why don't you investigate? Matagal na akong nagpapatay ng tao and hindi kayo nag-investigate sa akin. He was challenging the DOJ and telling the DOJ, yes, I've been killing people, but you have not investigated me. I think what they're doing is they're waiting for the ICC to issue that warrant of arrest and they will turn him over. It will be easier for them.
So yun talaga yung theory natin na hinihimas bago katayin. ICC. I mean, so I think this more or less confirms we're a little bit behind schedule. We were expecting it the other month pa, pero yung mga kadidiyas natin, huwag kayo masyadong excited. Papunta rin tayo dyan. So I think it's quite confirmed na may negotiations behind the scenes between ICC and the government.
Well, I don't have personal knowledge, but I'm sure the ICC feels the heat now because this guy Duterte has told them, "Hey, why are you so tardy? Bakit ang bagal ninyo? Matagal ko nang iniintay yung warrant of arrest ninyo." So he's challenging the ICC to arrest him already, to investigate him.
Parang napapaya pa nga yung Marcos admin, di ba? Na parang, sige, okay, mauna ka na. Binibigyan ka namin nga ng panahon eh. Pinapa-warm up ka pa namin. Gusto mo tumalon, tumalon ka na. Di ba? Parang ganun yung dating sa akin. I mean,
so I think the pressure is on the ICC now to act because the accused himself is saying, ang bagal ninyo.
Bagal nyo. Tuloy si Darian at saka si Justice Garcia. Tinatroll lang. No, I mean, I know for a fact that there has been tough communications going on. But what do you think is holding back ICC aside from the fact that, my goodness, they have 10 other conflicts to look at as we speak? Gusto lang nila, sigurista na siguro sila. Kasi yung Russia, malabo. Israel, malabo. Maybe they want to get this one right. Is that possible? Again, because there are also calculations going on. And as we speak, even Karim Khan is facing a lot of pressure because of his Israel.
Yes, I think that could be.
Yeah.
That I think that will affect the timetable because they had the chief prosecutor has his own problem, so that could be one delaying factor.
And just to be clear to our audience, so actually, dalawang potential problem. There is one allegation of supposed abuse. Let's see what's going on there. And then the other one, of course, nothing suspicious, just coincidental. Yung isa pa is, of course, yung threat ng sanction laban sa kanya at saka pamilya niya from the US Congress, diba? If ever tuloy-tuloy itong warrant of arrest nila labay kay Gantz, Bibi Netanyahu, and those kinds of people na key ally of the United States. So, under hit din kasi yung ICC ngayon eh. Ganun ba ka-importante yung chief prosecutor, Justice? I know it sounds like self-evident, but isn't there like a mechanism to make sure that the machine keeps on going even if the chief prosecutor is under hit? Kumbaga pwede siya maging punching back politically, but legally the machine still moves forward.
Well, yes, there is a succession there. There is next in rank who will take over. However, of course, there will be a delay because the next in rank will have to do his own review also and would probably be careful. So there will certainly be some delay, the way I look at it.
Delay, but more or less that's the direction of the wind, no? So there is a possibility, and again, this is speculative, there's a possibility na magkasabay ito ng elections, no? I mean, first quarter, second quarter of next year, if they come up with the Interpol, then that's election period, right? Hindi ba medyo pangit yung timing na yan? The same way na pangit yung timing nung lumabas yung arbitration award na wala na si Pinoy, si Digong pa yung presidente, di ba? Minsan parang may ganyan tayong kasaysayan na ang pangit ng timing ng mga nare-release na international rulings, no?
Well, matagal pa naman yung election. If there's a delay, it could just be a few months. So, and I think with this development here, with the former President Duterte himself saying, bilis-bilisan ninyo, naiinis na ako.
Baka
So
ready
I think
na
they're put on the spot now.
baka ready na yung wheelchair niya, yung neck brace niya. Mukhang ready na yung theatrics nila. I'm sure na the moment na something will happen on the ICC front, ito na, magdadrama na si Tatay Digong, magre-release na sila ng video na kawawa naman si Tatay, biglang hindi na macho, biglang, I mean, you know this, Justice Garvey, they're masters of theatrics, diba?
Yeah, well, he will probably be in a wheelchair and wants to be confined in the hospital. Ganyan talaga yan, no?
Tama yan. So just be ready. At saka of course, let me hazard to say there's someone even more dramatic sa kanya. That's Bato de la Rosa. Senator Bato de la Rosa. Can we imagine a lot of crying by Bato? Yung iyak na naman siya, magdadrama siya.
Well, if the warrant of arrests are issued, the we will have to find out who are the others who are included, no?
Medyo Davao School of Drama and Arts. Medyo from Davao School of Constitutional Legal Studies nung kay Kipaloy. Ngayon naman papunta tayo sa Davao School of Drama and Arts. Talagang I'm very impressed by the talent level, Justice, from your hometown. Na-insecure na kami taga Baguio and North. Sana naman mag-level up yung presidente. Pakita ka naman ng gilas, di ba? BBM. BBM. Okay, Justice. Wow, these are crazy times. Now, obviously, Justice, it's one thing to go after Digong or after Bato and some of this big fish, totoong big fish na yan. But obviously, we need still serious judicial reform and reforms within the police, no? NAPOLCOM and all, because there's still concerns about a lot of holdovers from before, a lot of compromise, scalawag type of ex-police, or people are still in the system. What do you feel about it? I mean, the fact that you have General Torre, no, now as the head of CIDG, those kind of competent guys moving up. Do you think there's some hope there in that direction?
Yes, remember right after martial law, it took some time before the military uh, was,
Professionalized.
were rid of soldiers who had a certain mentality, no, violating human rights, and the military had to really teach the soldiers human rights. It became part of the education program of the military, and they succeeded, but it took some time. So here in the police, I think something like that will happen. The remnants of the Duterte death squad are still there, and of course they will not change their mindset. They will probably do it again if given the chance, because they're used to that already. So it will take some time to make a correction, and they have to go through an re-education program again, just like what the military went through after martial law. Now the military is very conscious of human rights, far more conscious than the police. So we have to bring the PNP to that level.
Security sector reform, no? Mahalaga yan. Parati ko sinasabi dun sa mga partners natin. Napaka-successful ng security sector reform sa ating sandataan lakas, no? Kasi nakita natin ang panahon ni Digong, di ba? Nag-refuse talaga sila sumali sa war on
Yes.
drugs. They held the line on West Philippine Sea. All sorts of different things na hindi pa na completely on earth. Pero syempre yung mga kasama natin na may medyo connection sa military, alam nila things that were happening behind the scenes to make sure na yung Pilipinas hindi maging province of China. The other thing I want to ask you, Justice, is you had Secretary Remulla recently coming out with this big statement about ito yung war on drugs ni BBM. As someone who was in the judiciary for a long time, as someone who was in the government or advising government for some time, as someone who was a former lawyer and of course Justice, ano ba talaga yung state of affairs when it comes to our drug and criminality problem? Are we as bad? And are we doing anything significant to deal with the real gravity of problem we're facing right now in terms of crime and rule of law?
Well, I think drugs are still rampant, and I think it's part of. I have this suspicion, and some in the military also believe in this, that part of the strategy of China is to dump shabu in the Philippines to weaken
Opium
our
war.
society.
Opium war, so Shabu war.
Yes, the opium. They're doing to us what the British did to them in the 1800s. And that's exactly what they're doing to the US also. They're the principal source
Fentanyl.
of fentanyl. And that's worse even than opium. And the the shabu principally comes from China. And in China, you cannot manufacture anything without the knowledge of the intelligence, without the knowledge of the intelligence agencies there. So they know what's happening and they're allowing it because I think that's part of their strategy to weaken our Philippine society. It's easier for them to get our island territories and maritime zones in the West Philippine Sea. We will be beset with problems here because that has been their experience during the Opium Wars. That's exactly what they're doing to us.
Is there like a legal recourse or is there something? Because I
Well,
also
they only
yeah.
because all of these are coursed through customs, and it's the cooperation of our people in the customs that allow this. You remember the magnetic lifters.
Yeah,
So
2017 ba yan?
all of this pass through customs. So if we can only secure customs, then we've stopped it already.
So we have to clean up also in the customs. That's where many things go wrong. I remember interviewing, I raised this also before, si Prime Minister Mahathir when he was here in Manila in 2019, his state visit to Manila. And tinanong ko yung issue ng drug war, di ba? Of course, Mahathir is known as a strongman and all. Sabi na, this is an external problem. Hindi siya internal. Essentially, was saying it's from China. So if you want to deal with the drug problem, you have to go to the source of the problem. Interdiction, customs, all of those things. So isn't it, hindi ba ironic na yung pinaka-anti-drug guy natin ay pinaka-friendly dun sa pinanggalingan ng drugs? Essentially, hindi ko
Yeah,
sinasabi
because
yung government ng China, but nevertheless, yeah.
yeah, he never blamed China for the drug war, for the spread of drug in the Philippines. But everybody knows that the shabu comes from China. All the ingredients come from China. When the Chinese had in the laboratories here that manufacture shabu, there were Chinese chemists. We even have Chinese chemists here. And the Chinese chemists, I've been in the Supreme Court for a long time, and all we get are charges against cases against small-time peddlers. The Chinese chemists, the big drug lords, maybe one or two, or maybe at least one only. I've come across at least one case only. So, I mean, that's the first thing you can find out because you cannot cook shabu without the barangay knowing it because it's of a smell. Every barangay chair would know if there's a shabu laboratory in his barangay. So, but they always go after the small-time peddlers.
Cosmetic para lang may masabi lang, may ginagawa essentially, 'di ba? Yun yung concern natin. Kaya nakakalungkot talaga na marami nag-support sa war and drugs without looking at actually what was happening, which is hindi pinapatay yung mga big time drug dealers. We're not saying na dapat patayin, but I'm just saying hindi talaga binibigyan ng sapat na attention yung ugat talaga ng problema dito. Justice,
Well,
going back,
there's a case of in
right.
Davao. They even say that Michael Young was one of the
I was
shabu.
about to ask the young and the lean and all of these guys, all of these characters. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a testimony. There's a affidavit of Matobato and Mascareñas that Michael Young had a shabu laboratory in Davao.
Just figure, this is the Michael Yang, aka Presidential Economic Advisor. Hindi ko
Yes, the presidential
like,
economic advisor.
is it okay for forget about drug lord for he's a Chinese citizen, isn't it? Can a Chinese citizen be a presidential advisor?
No, you have to be a Filipino citizen to be an employee of government.
So what's going on? Like ganong ka garapalan yung panon ni Digong. Of course, we know the answer, but just to emphasize, anong inisip ni Digong na they could get away with this stuff, putting dodgy foreign citizens in charge of the top position?
Well, he knew that nobody would oppose him. Everybody was afraid of him because they know that he had a death squad.
So they thought forever na sila. 1,000 years of Reich. 1,000 years of Duterte admin. So Justice, what is the best way to fight drugs and at the same time also win over people? Kasi yun yung ginagamit ng mga DDS, di ba? Parati nilang sinasabi na, "Oh, wala naman kayong ginagawa sa drugs eh. Pulvoronic na yung presidente." Di ba? Parati nilang sinasabi, si Digong lang lumalaban eh. What do you think the government should do to restore confidence na something is at least being done? Should there be some big drug bust every now and then? I don't know, some big drug lords apprehended. Obviously, may kulang eh. Di ba? May kulang eh. Kaya yan ang ginagamit ng mga DDS to say, ito si BBM, ano yan?
Madali lang yan, Richard. Pantang yung port area. Have a very strict inspection. Dumadaan lahat dyan eh. Have a very strict inspection. There should be layers of inspectors so that if they can pass through one, they have to pass five more. Five more. Put 6 layers of inspectors, so at least one layer can catch and that's it.
And ganun ka mainstream yung I mean like they're not even doing like Mexican cartel submarine and all. It just goes through the airports and all.
Yeah, it just goes through. Yeah. You've seen the magnetic lifters.
They're not even trying. Do you think, Justice, kasi yung angle ng fentanyl, opium war, shabu war, mga ganun, narinig ko rin sa mga Amerikano, especially mga Republican Party. I talked to a couple of guys in Heritage Foundation and all, kasi I was asking about Trump and all. And lumabas itong fentanyl issue nito. Sa tingin mo, can we have a cooperation with drug enforcement agents in US from a very national securitized point of view? Kasi if we're seeing this as a sabotage activity, di ba? Shouldn't we work closer with our key allies on this issue?
Yeah, we should be exchanging information because they're having a hard time because the fentanyl is sent to Mexico and just brought over the border, no? Transported to the U.S. over the border, and the U.S. authorities have a lot of experience, but they can hardly cope with this smuggling of fentanyl into the U.S. because there's really a lot of money involved.
It's so easy
But
to manufacture, very cheap to manufacture fentanyl. Yeah.
yeah, and it's really very bad. The 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 side effect of fentanyl is worse than opium.
Yeah, I mean, some of the areas like San Diego, I have relatives and all, sobrang badly affected daw. Every day daw may pumapasok from across the border, no, at from Tijuana and all of those places. So I understand bakit siguro nanalo itong si Trump. Did you expect Trump winning, Justice Carpio, so easily in terms of electoral college and also
No,
sweeping
I
the House
didn't
and
expect
Senate?
him to
Yeah.
win that easily. I thought it was a cliffhanger.
Well, popular vote was close. 50.4% for Trump, 48% for Kamala, but so 2%, less than 2%. But you're right, electoral college, all battleground states, everything flip for Trump. So what is your sense with the Trump administration? Because on one hand, Trump is also a populist, like Duterte. Alam mo, at the same time, alam ko marami nagagalit sa akin kasi pro-Lenny at pro-Trump din sila. Kasi gusto nila si Trump for Christian values, Catholic values, anti-abortion. Okay, whatever. But my point is, he's also a populist. Let's just be clear about that. Nevertheless, he's a China hawk. So base dun sa mga new appointments, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, the names that are popping up, well, none of them have deep experience in foreign or defense policy, although I would say Marco Rubio, in fairness, as a senator, was on top of a lot of important issues relevant to Philippines and China. But what do you feel about it? A former Fox News military veteran being Pentagon chief and a former senator, essentially Florida man running the show. Congressman Walz also running the show. What do you feel about this? Do you think it's good for us na maraming China hawks potentially coming in?
Well, that's good. Rubio has been very strong against China, and on the South China Sea, he has been supportive of preventing China from expanding. And I think everybody below the president will be strongly against China and the Chinese policy on the South China Sea. The only question is the president. I mean, uh, is he that deeply convinced on the principles involved? Or is he transactional about these things? That's really the big problem.
Beautiful, beautiful. Basta matuwa lang siya sa manangyari. Ibahin niya yung policy. Biglang kausap niya si Xi Jinping. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's cut a deal. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, because President Xi Jinping, remember, offered the U.S. to divide the world. He said, "We'll take the South China Sea beyond the first island chain that's yours. The world is too big for both of us. Why do we have to quarrel and spend money uselessly?" I mean, Trump is very transactional, and he could say, "Yeah, that's correct. Uh, we don't want to be spending for these people who don't want even to spend on their defense."
kaya nga, I hope he'll be busy enough with tweeting and fighting people domestically so he can allow the professionals to do the job, right? Because I won't be surprised he's gonna tweet against Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, everyone that went after him is gonna call judges in Manhattan who convicted him. So let's just hope he'll keep busy on his Twitter feed and all of that with Elon Musk and all. But it's risky, yeah. I mean, either way. But nevertheless, Justice, do you think that under Trump, baka ma-pressure din ang Pilipinas to be more aggressively involved in the Taiwan issue, host more EDCA sites, more American weapon systems, medyo ipitin tayo ng konti? Isn't that the concern? Because that's what I hear from a lot of my American counterparts na the Trump administration was much more pressuring. Yun lang, nagkataon lang digong yung presidente noon. But this time, na it's BBM, baka they feel they can push the Philippines more, no, na to, well, essentially toe their line on China. Do you think there's enough convergence with US to be okay with that scenario? What should we do?
Well, of course, personally, I have not really seen Trump being very involved in the defense of Taiwan. It's his people who are very strongly in favor of defending and assisting Taiwan, but Trump himself, not so much. So there will be a battle there, but let us assume that the U.S. will want more EDCA sites. But these EDCA sites are just warehouses where they will leave their HIMARS, their Typhoons with us. Their people will not be around. In effect, they are leaving this equipment, these
Leasing to
missiles
us.
with us in case China invades. And China will see that we have these weapons. This serves as deterrent already. So I'm even in favor of that because these are not American troops' boots on the ground. These are just their weapons. And I will be happy to take their weapons.
So you see there's still a way to leverage this China hawk, medyo crazy, medyo chaotic Trump administration that they may end up. I mean, in short, ang sinasabi mo, Justice, here is we can leverage yung ating position, right? We're in the middle of Taiwan, in the Pacific, mahalaga na tayo sa West Philippine Sea. We can leverage that to get the maximum, best weapon systems, everything, the transfers, because this is what a lot of Republicans are saying, right?
Yeah.
That we have to help the Philippines. It's a frontline state. They're important. They're doing so. Rubio wrote something in favor of that last year.
For example, there are 9 EDCA sites. So we'll ask them, how can you be asking for more EDCA sites when you have not filled up the warehouses of these EDCA sites, existing 9? So put your HIMARS here, your Typhoons here, and other weapons here. So the Chinese will look at us and say, oh, the Filipinos have HIMARS, they have Typhoons. So that's deterrence already.
It's because it could target also their military systems in both West Philippine Sea and also southern China.
Yeah, it will reach southern China. That's why they're really worried about the Typhoons, because that gives us the capability to strike them back in their homeland.
And puts us in a very important position. Oh, Justice,
this is all about deterrence. I'm not saying
absolutely,
that we go. This is just deterrence. In other words, they know that we can give them a bloody nose.
I mean, why should we use them if there's no reason to use them, right? So, hindi ko
Yeah.
na-gets yung sinasabi ng mga makapili. Ay, sorry, yung mga ibang experts na ano to, provocative daw tayo, troublemaker daw tayo. This is classic gaslighting. This is classic victim blaming. We're just doing the minimum here to enhance our position. On this point, Justice, aren't you worried na maging more militaristic ang approach under Trump 2.0 at the expense of what you are pushing for, which is more legal warfare, more rules-based order? Because this is Trump, but Trump is not a rules-based order guy. I mean, let's be honest about it. Neither in his life, nor his political career, nor in his philosophy of international affairs, if any. Wouldn't be medyo difficult for us to push for a more legal warfare approach when we are allied to a country that now will be under a man who's known as defiant of rule of law at home and rules-based order abroad potentially, or at least